Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. My name is Garhen and today we're going to be talking about philosophy and teaching philosophy to young people. Really, these techniques can be used to teach philosophy to anyone. And if you are someone who teaches philosophy, I would encourage you to take a look at a fantastic resource. It is out of the UK, I believe, and it is called P as in Patricia, and then 4, and that's a numerical 4, and then C as in Charlie.com. And that is just a fantastic resource that you can become a member of as part of your school perhaps, or as a contracted teacher. And there's course material there and lecture material and all sorts of examples. And we're going to talk a little bit about philosophy today, and one of those examples that was available as a free download. Now, whenever we bring up philosophy, it always, you have a picture of a guy frowning as he sits with his chin on his fist, thinking about the deeper meaning of life, perhaps. Philosophy is not really so much a search as it's understanding how we search. It's understanding the validity of who we are. And it helps give us tools to think critically, to understand our own moral positions, and to look at the things that we would use to justify those positions. And one of the first things that many philosophers come to understand is that the bulk of the human race is actually quite insane. So if you're considered crazy in a sane society that is actually insane, chances are the crazy people are actually more sane than the people we think who are sane who are actually insane. And I know that sounds insane, but it's not. Did you follow that? I don't think even I followed that. So philosophy literally gives us the tools to be able to think critically, to examine our own thinking critically, to know when our logic has fallen down, when what we're saying is not actually fact or truth, but theory or opinion, and learning the difference between those things. This is one of the beautiful things about philosophy. So, for example, I'm going to give an example. It's a beautiful early spring day, and the sun is shining, and the birds are buzzing around, and the ants are all out busy doing their food collecting for the fall. And this one ant is heading around looking for things he can pick up to bring home for the fall already. And he comes upon a grasshopper, and the grasshopper is sitting there, and he's playing his violin, and he's enjoying the sunshine. And he says to the grasshopper, he says, "Sir," he says, "I got to tell you, you should be gathering food and putting it away for the winter time, because in the winter, you can't get food." And the grasshopper says, "There's plenty of time for that. Don't worry about me. I can't do anything but sing and dance and enjoy the sunshine right now." And the ant says, "Well, to each his own," and off he goes. Well, he sees that grasshopper many times, and the ant, reiterates the same conversation to the grasshopper more than one occasion. And sure enough, the winter comes, and the grasshopper finds himself without food. And he's wondering what he's going to do. And then he remembers that the ants have food. So he goes to the ants. And lo and behold, who opens the door to the hive but the ant that he knows? And he says, "Listen, I have no food. I'm going to starve to death." And the ant says, "Aren't you the grasshopper that I talked about with this?" And the grasshopper says, "Yep, that was me." The ant says, "Listen, I warned you. We don't have enough food. We have enough food for ourselves. I'm sorry, we can't help you." And he shuts the door. Now that's ending number 1 of the story. And here's where things get interesting. we're going to change the ending a little bit. This time when the grasshopper comes to the door, the ant says, you know, I don't think we can really help you. We don't have enough food. And the grasshopper, being much larger, he forces his way in and he overpowers and eats the ants and finds out that they're actually kind of tasty. And he steals from their food. And the grasshopper survives the winter quite fine. Although the ants, they have a little bit more than they can handle in trouble. In ending 3, the ant takes the grasshopper to the queen, and the queen says, do you have something to offer us in return? And the grasshopper says, well, I can sing and dance for you. And the queen realizes that the ant population has never experienced anything except labor. So she allows the grasshopper to stay, and all winter long, the ants learn how to dance and let loose and have fun, and are prepared in the spring, and everyone survives and everyone is happy. In the last iteration of the story, when the grasshopper knocks on the hive door, the ant says, actually, we have a bureau that we made in conjunction with the other insect colonies around here. Just go on up that hill. And the grasshopper goes up the hill, and there's a bureau, an office he goes in, and they say, everyone in the surrounding communities has donated food. You can have a voucher for 1 week's worth of food. And if you come back here next week and the weather is still bad, or if the weather isn't bad and you can prove that you've looked for food and couldn't find any, we'll give you another voucher for another week. And therefore the grasshopper was able to survive through the wintertime. Now, these stories seem quite innocuous on the surface, but there are deeper moral issues involved. Because, of course, the grasshopper is what we perceive as a homeless person. And the ant, well, that's a hard worker who pays his bills and goes to work every day and struggles with his debt and owns their home and, has a lease on their cars. And the worker doesn't really understand at first. There's so many moral things to talk about within those various endings. And asking people to choose the most fitting ending for themselves or to write a new ending. And then to be able to expand on what it is they're actually saying about themselves and how they think and how they believe. And this is something that is sorely lacking in our society, and that's why philosophy has always been one of my favorite subjects. It's an absolutely wonderful subject. You don't necessarily have to dive into the philosophical greats in order to understand philosophy. You can look at very simple stories like this and allow them to develop profound meaning for themselves out of these simple stories. I know this video has been a little bit short, but I hope it has been helpful. Much love to you all, and namaste. And as always, we will talk again soon. Have a wonderful day.